My name is Kathy Bryant, and my paper was on the effects that family violence can have on sexual behavior. As we know, family violence is a prevalent issue, unfortunately, in the U.S., and it has many ramifications. The goal of my paper was to examine the effect that family violence can have on sexual behavior by either those who are witnessing the violence or who are themselves victims of the violence or the neglect. From this slide, you can see from the U.S. Department of Justice between 2003 and 2012, there were 3,514,570 non-fatal reported acts of violence that were done either by family members, close relatives, or someone who was close to the family. Sexual behavior, like other important aspects of life, can be affected by this. And it is my hypothesis that those who live with this violence will more likely experience sexual behavior dysfunctions. The issues that I chose to examine in my paper were, first of all, sexual aggression, coercion, which includes sexual assault and rape, sexual identity issues such as same-sex orientation, and finally attitudes towards women or towards the opposite sex and the acceptance of the rape myth. As we have learned in this class, we are bombarded with sex in this society, and these images can perpetuate these issues. In 2 recent studies, strong connections were shown between those who had been exposed to childhood maltreatment, including physical, sexual, and emotional abuse and neglect, and those who were sexually coercive or aggressive. In one study conducted in 2014 by Zinazao and Thompson, college students were surveyed. The survey looked at 6 predictors such as childhood adversity, personality traits, substance abuse, social norms, and they concluded that childhood adversity was the single most significant factor for predicting instances of sexual offenses and repeat offending. Sexual identity was another factor that was studied and is also linked to childhood maltreatment. In order to determine a causal relationship between maltreatment and sexual identity, Roberts, Gleamore, and Conan conducted a study in 2012 in which family characteristics previously shown to be predictors of child maltreatment were used as a control. The study only looked at families where maltreatment was already present due to these characteristics. This study concluded that there was a strong association between same-sex orientation and sexual abuse, which was strongest in males, and the next strongest link was to parental alcohol abuse coupled with physical or emotional abuse. Finally, the authoritarian personality was examined in relation to acceptance of rape myth and a low view of women. In a study done by Peterson and Zubrigham in 2010, it was found that those high in authoritarianism were more likely to accept and assess blame to a woman who was raped. This is because this personality tends to group people together, categorize them by higher or lower status. It is often found with people who are high in authoritarianism that they find that women are lower status group. Generally, the opposite sex is also viewed as adversarial, and women specifically are viewed as manipulative. So this leads to the likelihood or the acceptance of the myth that if a woman dressed a certain way or acted a certain way, she was quote-unquote asking for it. This paper has shown that there are significant associations between childhood maltreatment and witnessing family violence or adversity and sexual behavior dysfunctions, including sexual coercion, assault, rape, attitudes toward women, and same-sex attraction. All of this reemphasizes the necessity for prevention and intervention programs. Yet, we still can find hope. There is hope that can come from the brokenness that we experience in childhood from maltreatment. We can overcome this brokenness through redemption in Christ.